When rounding a number, what you really need to look at is the place value to the right. So when rounding to the nearest hundred, if the tens digit is 0, 1, 2, 3 or 4, go back to the previous multiple of 100. But if the tens digit is a 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9, go on to the next multiple of 100. So just as when rounding to the nearest 10, we're really looking at the units digit, when rounding to the nearest 100, we look at the tens digit. Let's go through some examples to help us understand. Here we need to round 235 to the nearest 100. We can see on this number line that 235 is nearer to 200 than to 300. So we go back and it rounds to 200. And even if we didn't have a number line, because the tens digit is a 3, we know that we have to round down for this question. Now let's recap rounding to the nearest 10. 235 is right in the middle of 230 and 240. If we go back 5, we get to 230, but if we go forward 5, we get to 240. And with rounding, if a number is right in the middle of what we're rounding to, we always round up. So to the nearest 10, 235 rounds to 240. Round 281 to the nearest 100. 281 is closer to 300 than 200, so we round up to 300. And even if we didn't have a number line, because we have an 8 in our tens digit, we know that we need to round up to the next 100. Now round 281 to the nearest 10. Well, 281 is closer to 280 than 290, so we round down to 280. We know that when we're rounding to the nearest 10, we need to look at our units digit. Because we have a 1, we need to round down. Round 412 to the nearest 100. (412) rounds to 400 to the nearest 100. Now round 412 to the nearest 10. (412) to the nearest 10 is 410. Round 668 to the nearest 100. 668 rounds to 700. And round 668 to the nearest 10. To the nearest 10, 668 rounds to 670. Now round 550 to the nearest 10. Well, 550 is the number exactly in the middle of 500 and 600. But when a number is in the middle, we always round up. So 550 rounded to the nearest 100 is 600. So finally, what is 250 to the nearest 100? It's exactly in the middle of 200 and 300, so rounds up to 300.